Alright, niggas. Back to grab the bull by the horns. Now, I left a mental bookmark on where I left off at in the last video. But I'm gonna pause on that. I wanna take y'all back to the underworld and deal a little bit more with the pt4. All this right here. Now, first and foremost, pt4, P-T-A-H. The pt4. He's pt4. That's where the word put comes from. pt4 is the master builder. He builds. He's credited with creating all things. After he was self-created, he created all things in existence. He put everything in place. The pt4. Now, some of the things that he's associated with, he's attributed with carrying, some of the processes he's attributed with carrying out would be the carving, cutting, and digging of a mental, which is the underworld. Remember I told you in the beginning you're at the top of the spill with the light, and the bottom, or excuse me, the bottom with the light, and the top at the dark. And then the darkness or the melanin oozes down here, created the spine, and for each spear light that went up this way and landed up here, one pushed down on this spine that was created by the ash that was created due to the light and the dark meeting in the center. One of the things he's charged with is, or he's, I don't want to say charged, one of the things that, some of the things I should say is hollowing out a mental, which is, this would be, after all the melanin oozes down, this would be the formation of the bottom of the earth. They say pt4 roofed in, put a roof over the eternal earth. And the roof would be, you know, just a mound with all this in there. Now, as you know, each one of these pertain to a particular chakra. Coming from this way, going down, this would be the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, throat chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus chakra, sacral chakra, root chakra. Which this one, the color associated with this one would be violet. Color associated with this one would be indigo. This color would be blue, green, no, excuse me, blue, yeah, green, yellow, orange, red. Now, where are all of your precious minerals of the earth found? All your diamonds, your gold, amethyst, and all these different stones, crystals, and rocks they're found beneath the earth. So when I was telling you the beginning process, when the light was down here and the darkness was up here, when the light was going up, you had light going through the center, what you see with the knees, and then you had light, then you had some light on its way up was getting caught up by the melanin that was dripping down, and it and them light particles that got caught on the melanin that was dripping down, pretty much was scattered over the top of the melanin that was coming down here. So you had these right here, these 3 clusters of melanin. These are called the shields or the shells. They're called the shells because you got all the light freckles on the top, but there's nothing inside. Up here, you got the light. You know, they're not hollow; they got light inside of them. So when pt4, first and foremost, the zoo type or the animal or the insect that was used to represent pt4, like I said, is the dung beetle. The word Peter, pt4. Peter in your Bible comes from pt4. Words like petrify. Petrify basically means to stiffen up or get hard or whatnot. And that's what happened to the melanin that came from the top as ooze or goo. It came down here and petrified as these 7 shells, and then the melanin went out here also petrified. And you had the light that was within the melanin digging and cutting and carving out holes and tunnels. That's what you call Pan's Labyrinth, or the tunnels of Set, or tunnels of Soot. This is a mental, the underworld. A mental, you got the word Amen and you got tar. Amen means hidden, tar means land. So this would be the hidden land. And to take it a step further, we can break the word almond down, A-M, which is the word in which pt4 worked with in order to bring everything into fruition. And the word is represented by the light. And then you have on. On is the darkness, the dark waters. So this would be Amen. The word within the darkness. And that's why it's called, that's why the word Amen is equated with hiding or the hidden, because the light is hidden within the dark right here in the center. And it's funny because, you know, out here, well, you know, when you playing dominoes or something, or you beat somebody real bad, you say you Peter rolled them. That's where that term comes from, Peter roll, because Peter pt4 is like I said, represented by the dung beetle. The dung beetle buries his eggs in a ball of dung, rolls it up, and pushes it with his hind legs in the same direction as the sun traveling through the sky. So that's what let me grab this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm doing it now. But right now, this is pretty much, these 4 videos right here are pretty much like the skeleton of this. And what I'm gonna do, go back and put some meat on the bone on each area that I'm discussing in these videos. I'm gonna go back and put some meat on the bone with scholarship, books. Got a lot of interesting shit in here. So let me see what I can hit y'all with real quick that pertains to the situation at hand or the topic at hand. With this part right here. When the Supreme Being had imaged or personified the powers previously, and this is Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, page 267. So when the Supreme Being had imaged or personified the powers previously extant were represented as his offsprings, his names, or members of his body. Hence the 7 associate gods, Ali, or the Elohim, are now called the limbs, joints, hands, fingers, lips, teeth, the breath of God, or reversely stated these parts, making these parts of the one God becoming the associate gods as a sevenfold emanation of pt4. pt4 is Kepler is just another name, one of his other names that refers to the shaping and molding of everything. Just like I was telling y'all about the ram-headed deity Khnum, but it said as a sevenfold emanation from pt4. Now Ptah was satisfied after making of all things and conferring all the divine names. He formed the gods, he made the towns, he designed the gnomes, he placed the gods in the shrines, he made their company flourish. All the limbs moved when he uttered the word of wisdom which came forth from the tongue and worked a blessing upon all things. The word became the making of men and the creation of gods for Ptah, Tanin, Sepu. That the earth be is one of the titles Ptah as the God who calls the earth into existence. So it said that's one of his titles, let the earth be. Just like it tell you in the good old Christian religion, when the word of God spoke everything into existence. He said let it be, and just because he said let it be, so it was. So, but the earth, which was evolved by Ptah and his associate gods, the Ali, the Phoenician Elohim, is not this world, not our earth. If it were, it would not be the double earth, the earth that we duplicated in the making of a mental. In the text from Memphis, it is said that Ptah was satisfied after making all these things, all the divine names. So what it's saying by when he say that, but this earth which was evolved by Ptah and his associate gods, the Ali Phoenician Elohim, is not this world, not our earth. That's pertaining to the thought of let's see. Now, remember I told you at the beginning, all the light was down here, all this was dark. The first earth, or the one he was saying that doesn't pertain to the earth we live in, is the earth that came before the physical earth. Because everything started with a thought before it's manifested into a physicality or physical actuality. So, everything that was eventually created at the top started off as a thought down here, and that's what they mean when they say that. So let me get back into it. In a text from Memphis, it is said that Ptah was satisfied after making all things, all the divine names. He saw that it was good, and the satisfaction of the Creator. And his work is repeated in the book of Genesis. See, because everything he's speaking on now is talking about the Egyptian text, and he's basically showing you how it connects to Genesis. 7 times over, Elohim saw that the work was good, and like Ptah, or the put company of gods, he or they was satisfied. But the making of a mental about Ptah and the great part of gods, or Ali, was an actual creation of imagination, not a mere calling of things to existence by naming them. See what I'm saying? The imagination. This is where everything was imagined. This would be the subconscious mind. This would be the thoughts in the back of your mind, or sit in the subconscious mind, formulating, getting ready for you to actuate them and bring them into fruition at the top when the flip transfer, when the light go up here and the dark melanated water start to drip down here. So it was known as Tanin, the earth and the noon. Now, the earth and the noon, the Tanin, Now that's gonna be interesting in the next. Well, what I get into next, I'm gonna show y'all how the mummification process is basically a rendition of how the earth was mummified by Anubis. So that'll be interesting when I get down to that part. But and that's what tanning. This would be the tanning. This would be the land of tanning right here. First, this was, remember, at first, see, I can see that. First, the top looked like this. It was dark. You see the little light speck in the middle or whatever. It was the dark waters of noon. Once all the light came up, well, once this took off and all the light came up here, it flooded the base, or it flooded the circumference, and left the top, which once looked like this, looking like this, full of light. That's where your word tan comes from. Cause what does the sun do? When the sun gives you a tan, it brings the melanin to the top. So but before I don't want to get too deep into that, say that for the next part of the process. But let me get back to it. Also, it was known as tanning, the earth and the noon. The earth and the noon. Ta meaning earth or land, and noon. Noon is the dark waters. So it would be that's when the actual land is pushed up from the noon, because remember, when the top was like this, it was null and void, just dark waters with no land. But when the light started traveling to the center, as it traveled to the center, remember I told you it was pushing up right here, pushing up on these points right here, as it slid this way. That's where the land come in at, because it's pushing up the mountains and it's pushing up the mountains and the valleys, which will eventually become the land, in a land where there was once no land to step foot on. So that will become the tanning, because now you have land within the waters of noon, or dark waters of noon, or whatever. Let's see. It was known as tanning, the earth and the noon. Also, the lower earth distinguished from the upper earth, to which it was added when the earth was duplicated as the work Ptah and the associate gods. The firmament of the upper earth was raised aloof by Shu. Then again, this Shu, the air, once that opened up, all these was raised up by Shu in the land too. Just like I was saying, you had this pushing up. The pushing up was due to the whirlwind sucking up or pushing up. So it's being raised up by Shu. Shu is the god of air, whirlwinds. The firmament of the upper earth was raised aloft by Shu when establishing the pole of Am Kemet. The pole of Am Kemet is you niggas get it. I ain't gotta keep switching up. I know y'all can understand what I'm saying, or imagine it without getting confused. So I ain't gotta keep on pressing these goddamn tacks in the fucking wall, which is a, as you can see, is a quite a bit of a task here, a little strenuous though. But yeah, So but the when he say he raised up or he established the pole of Kemen, army and hidden, that would be the tap pole would be the one star that rises above what would eventually be the globe, and then the 7 that comes down. From right here. Boom. Kemen refers to the 8. I'm getting, in some later videos, I'll deal with the mathematical aspect of everything. But the 1, this being the first, this being, they talk about what you call the 7 and the 1 when you start dealing with comedic mathematics. And the 7 is the 1 it's the it's basically the 1 that started right here and took off and ended up right there, and then the 7 that followed them. That's what you call the Kemen. And these right here, these 7 are what you call his workers, or the Elohim, the 7 Elohim, or the 7 Ali spirits in the Phoenician text or whatever. So on. It say thus. Oh, okay, hold up. The firmament of the neither earth was lifted up by pt4. This was celebrated as his suspension of the sky, but the lower firmament is the sky that was raised up by him in the mentor. The earth of a mentor is not the upper earth of time, or the earth of let's see, set up by him in the mentor. The earth of eternity is not the upper earth of time. So when they say that, it's basically saying that the upper earth or the outside is not the earth of eternity. The earth of eternity is what's within. The soul that that's permanent resides within man, or resides within the melanin, or resides within physical life. So when they speak about the earth of eternity, they're talking about the spirit that dwells within. The kingdom of heaven is within, as they say. So then they say this was celebrated as his suspension of the sky, which I'll get back, which I was telling y'all the way the whole way that the moon was created. That was the suspension of the sky. When all that came up and all this flipped to the top and turned the base into this with the light shining up, which would be the light. If this was the base, it'd be the light shining up this way, which would push the sky up. And this is how the I'm sure y'all seen that right. That's how that top globe was created, by the shoe uplifting the sky, or stretching out and putting the roof up or whatever. So thus the creation of a mental was not a commencement of the external universe, although another heaven and earth was then called into being. That's the physical earth and heaven. At first there was no heaven and no earth in this unformulated realm of desert darkness. That's the top of the coin before the interaction of the light, or the switch up, or the changing places of the light and the dark took place. Or as the Hebrew version had it, the earth was waste and void. There was no light of day or lamp of night, as neither sun nor moon could pass until the earth was hollowed out and a sky suspended overhead. When that went up, it hollowed out the center point. And at the same time, hollowed out the bottom part when the melanin was oozing down this way, so it was hollowing out the earth. Because this is where the sun, the birth of the sun is going to take place through here. And they had to raise the globe up or push the sky up or whatever. But it said at first there was no heaven and no earth in this unformulated. Oh, I can't read all that. Okay, there was no light of day or lamp of night, as neither sun nor moon could pass that way until the earth was hollowed out and a sky suspended overhead by pt4, the opener, and his Ali, or his companions, who were afterwards repeated in the Elohim of the Hebrew Genesis. So he's basically telling you all that shit about the Elohim and the seven gods in the Bible, this is where they come from, pt4. So in the enclosure of the Yema, there was at first no light of stars or moon or sun. There was conditions of primeval darkness in which Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The question being where and how. In the making of a mental, pt4 was the uplifter of the lower firmament. So when they say he's the uplifter of the lower firmament, it's tricky because you think it's uplifting this way, but this was also considered uplifting as well. People was pushing, the melanin was pushing this way and creating a lower firmament and or whatnot. So the question, okay, we said in the making of a mental, pt4, right, blah blah blah. This is recognized in the ritual when the speaker down in the mental says, "Mine is the radiance which pt4 floated over his firmament, that is the light of this new heaven and earth, which was solely a creation of an astronomical solely a creation of astronomical mythology." Yeah. In another text we read, "Hail to thee, pt4 Tanit, the heaven was yet uncreated was the earth, the water flowed not. Thou hast put together the earth, thou hast united the limbs, thou hast reckoned thy members. What thou hast found apart, thou hast put into place. Oh, let us give glory to the God who hath raised up the sky, and who causeth the disk to float over the bosom of Nu, who hath made it the gods and men on all the generations, who hath made all the countries in the great sea, and in his name let the earth be." Okay. So when they say the radiant disk, this is the radiant disk. Before the sun, this was like a precursor to what the sun was going to be. The darkness in which the light floated over. Because like I was saying, this would be light, but it would still have the blackness behind it that is floating over the darkness. That'd be like a light. I should have drew it like that, but it's all good. This light would be sitting on top of all that land, dark melanated land that was pushed up or whatever. And that's the bosom of Nu, because Nu is on not only the dark waters. Nu basically represents water. Period. You just had you got different versions of Nu. You have the night sky. One of the representations of Nu in Kemet is a lady who's bent over, and her body, the bent over body representing the roof or the top of the globe. So it was like a lady bent over this way with her arms over here, legs right here, whatever. And she was covered in stars that represent the night sky, the starry belly of Nu, the star-spangled belly of Nu or whatever. And Tefnu is the water that precipitates and rises from out of the dark water when the light starts rising. It's like water in a pot. It's like when this light starts rising up here, all that water that's all the water that was at the top when the earth was waste and void, it starts to, as the light rises, it rises or precipitates the same way that bodies of water precipitates out of bodies of water on earth when the sun raises up or whatever. So guess I better get to where I was. Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to say. And it all fits perfect right here. Okay, you got the dog, Anubis. Two things Anubis is associated with. One thing he's associated with is being a vesture or an embalmer, a mummifier. You see on a lot of hieroglyphs, you'll see Anubis, the dog-headed god, mummifying bodies. Another thing he's associated with is the opener of the way, the guide dog. Just like when you see motherfuckers go hunting, they take their dog with them. And they let the dog run up front and sniff out, trying to figure out where some game at or whatever. Well, that's why this is called the dog, and it's called the opener of the way or the way maker, or the another thing Anubis is associated with is orbits. So these little lines right here, he's associated with those two. The orbit that the Earth sits on, it's associated with Anubis. They say it's like just like the sun, and the sun in our solar system revolves around star Sirius. Then you got star Sirius, Sirius B, which is also considered the dog star because it circles Sirius A the way a guard dog would circle something that it was protecting or whatever. And I got a picture on my Facebook, on my Instagram page. Some shit that won't happen for another 50 years. I caught it with my own camera, own phone, just so happened to be outside one summer night, and this must have been a point in time where the star Sirius was as closest to us because I had never seen nothing in the sky this goddamn brilliant and beautiful, shining like that. And I don't know how motherfucker didn't make that a big deal. You look at the news and shit, they make a big deal. They tell you when Jupiter and Uranus is mixing up, and when they meeting here, and when this and that, and easy solar eclipse and all this shit. And you mean to tell me ain't no fucking body know that star Sirius was not only for the rock, because like I said, you got the lights. Sirius A sits in the middle, Sirius B circles around it. Sirius B is a dense, dark star. They say it's so dense that you can't detect it with the naked eye. Well, I detected it, but when I detected it, what you see is not, I wish I would've, I need to go print them pictures out so I can show it to you. Or you can just go on my Facebook page, my Instagram page and find it if you want to label like that. But I caught, because first I was looking at the star and I was like, damn, that's Sirius. Woo, woo. So I'm looking at it. I stayed out there all night. I mean, literally all night standing at this star. And then at one point, I saw it black. I saw like the center of the star. It was like something was pulling on it or tugging on it. And the shit was brilliant. All the colors of the spectrum was sparkling from this motherfucker. Like if you go look at it now, you can kind of see a sparkle when you see it in the sky now. But it wasn't like the way it was in 2016. I mean, this shit was beautiful. It's some of the most beautiful shit I ever seen in my life. But at one point you can see the star, it started turning white. Where all the brilliant colors was coming from, it started turning white, and it seemed like someone was pulling at the center. And I kept looking, and I had my camera. That's why I say niggas be talking shit about Android, but this Android I had was a bad motherfucker because this shit was catching. I caught all this shit. I'm talking about, I can see, let's just say this was the star shining, and then all of a sudden I just start seeing this little black. I just start seeing the center pull like this way, and the next thing you know, I start seeing a black shadow or a black hole or white light, and that was Sirius B. So what was happening was Sirius B was making its way, or I don't want to say eclipsing because it wasn't big enough to cover the whole star, but it basically came to the center of the star right here. So you had Sirius A right here, then you had Sirius B in the center, and then you had us on Earth. That was, well, me on Earth looking at this shit. And it takes Sirius B 50 years to make a full revolution around Sirius A. That's why I said that shit won't happen for another 50 years. And not only that, that was a major moment. That was a gateway moment right there. Like, it went up. Like a lot of shit is going on right now. Even the madness of it all and shit, it all has something to do back with that right there. But anyway, Anubis, the process, I say you gotta look at these deities as processes, because I'll tell you this is Anubis right now, and you're like, oh, but a couple of days ago you said it was Ptah, and then you said it was Horus and Isis, and it's all that shit. But the process that it's about to go to is a reference to Anubis, which is when it shoots out here, boom, it trailblazes and creates a path for these other seven to come. It creates it shoots up here, and as it's shooting up here, it's creating 7 pockets for these 7 to come and jump into, and it's leading the way. That's why the process is called Anubis is creating the path. These are following it as if it was a dog, a bloodhound or whatever. And then once this boot that shit, man. How much time I got on the clock? Your whole box been jumped on by the Doc Hopscotch 36. All right, we can bust it down real quick. I got about 24 minutes. All right, so like I said, when that one shot from the center came up here, it created these 7 pockets or these 7 suits for these to jump in or whatever. And when you look at the embalming process, they use golden gum, which they also call tanning. They would put that on the body, or use honey, spread honey over the body, and then they would wrap the bandage around the mummy. Well, this is Anubis embalming, because when all this light, when these finally come down here and all this light is all the way up here, you got all 7 up here, all 7 down here, this is how it's going to look. You're going to have light coming from each one of these, or you'll have a light shooting up from here, connecting to all of these right here, and then you had the circumference covered with the tanning, or the yellow or the golden gum that's used to do the mummy wrap. Now this is where the moon come into play. The moon is going to be the wrap. When you look at or when you go back, I think in Catholicism, they have a thing where they put their dead in clear caskets, see-through caskets, and then I once read somewhere that they take it to the Islam side of thing, that the Prophet Muhammad is buried in a dome or whatever. Well, the next thing that happens after this process, this part is gonna cut off. This little stem in between, it's gonna fall on top of the hole that the light was coming through and bury that one last little bit of light in there. And then all these lights are gonna shoot up into here. They're gonna constrict like some sort of straight line of light and then shoot up into here. And remember I told you, once this light starts to retract and go here, and then this light goes here, and this light goes here, it's gonna leaving each spot that it left from dark all the way into this whole circle that's black with it's called, you go look at Hero with All the Faces, they'll tell you about the Great Rice Bowl or something like that. But with all that light, when all the light, the main light travels and come up the hill to this circle and concentrate, it's gonna be all this. It's gonna be the black mountains with gold dust sparkled on them and in them, and it's gonna be the valleys with sprinkled or particles of light broke up within it. That's, man, I'll tell you, Jah's son, God's son, or God light. When you go look at Jason Takes Manhattan, when that part where he kick over that radio and he take that mask off and all the dudes start running and shit, this where that shit come from. Him taking off the mask represents the light retracting, because if you know, under the white face, or the white represent the light, under that white mask, his face is actually black or dark. So when the light retracts to here in this way and here, whatever, and they leave that black with the gold sparkles in it, that's where they got that from, the Jason thing, from him lifting the Jason mask up. Because like I said, you go back to Jason the Argonauts, the God son, God light, or whatever, that's what this is. With Jason would be in the center of the bark, the helmsman. So Now, remember, I told you as the light rolls up from here, you had the water that was once mixed and amalgamated with the melanin whirlpool down here. As the light rises, the water rises. That's what the blue flecks of light represent, the water and the light that's shining up from the base or whatever, all in the air. Even in Kemet, when you read Ancient Light of the Words, a part there where he speaks on how Kemet isn't necessarily a cloudy place, but in the morning it's kind of misty, and the light, the sunshine intermingling with the hemisphere of the earth and the air, and I guess it creates a kind of a green mist. And you look at that blue and yellow, and I didn't even do this shit on purpose. I just said, fuck it, let me find a way to show them the water rising. So I said, fuck it, I just flake in these blues and then shine that yellow. But then but they also said that in the book it's a green tint, a slightly green tint you can see in Kemet when the sun rays up or whatever. But when the sun rises, it's causing the water to precipitate or whatever. Now, like I said, once that stem break and all this light, everything that was carved out on the base, like I said, because once all the light retracts to the edge, all this is going to be everything in existence or whatever, the mold for it. So it'll be like a open hole in the ground. So let's just say a human body was right here. It'd be the shape of a human body. It'd be a hole in the ground, but the hole would be the shape of the human body. For each one of these to go up, when this light comes out of here and shoots up here, this ball right here, the first one, all that, the light gonna go up, and this is gonna turn into dust. That melanin dust is gonna fall back. So all the shells that are on each one of these are gonna fall back down off the stem onto this base and cover up or fill up them holes. And that's where you get the whole thing about in the Bible where I forgot the name, but the father was laying naked, drunk and naked, and they say that the two sons had to walk backwards and put his clothes on them. Well, when they was walking backwards through the light or going up, the black melanin that was falling off of where the light once was, falling off that stem, is what is covering up them holes. The nakedness represents the mold of the body sitting right here, open like a mouth with gold flakes inside of it, whatever. And then, or when they say soot flung his odor at Horus or put his eye, like I said, you got the hole on the mold with the light, the mold bowl with the light in it on the top of everything's mold, and then you can still see the light within the valleys and mountains or whatever. But when the melanin falls off and covers up the hole, it buries the light or whatever. That's like, so it's equivalent to putting out the eye soot. I mean the eye of Horus, or just like when that little stem went up and that part dropped and covered that hole up. That was another way of put another representation. I mean, another thing that putting out the eye of Horus represented. So now, as the light retracts from the center all the way to back here, as this go, for each one of these to go up, so like when this one go up, when this stem first break whatever, that's the light going from here to here. And then when this light travels up from here, that corresponds to this light retracting to here. So all that melanin that was surrounding the light would fall up into that point pocket. Then you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever. You get the picture. But and while these are traveling up, the light is going this way, and retracting that way, and and the water is following the light. So by the time all these lights set up right here and all this down here, this is like a misty, a big old dome of misty water, precipitated water. So when all the light retract, and then the water and the light go this way. When that last bit of light travels from here and goes up into there, because this is swallowing all the light up on some Pac-Man type shit. Once that happens, and all the light from here shoots out to here, this light shoots up to there, and then all the light from here shoots out from this point and goes out. This is where, when all, like I said, when all that light retracts to this point, and then all the light shoots out here, that's when it puts the, like I said, creates another 7 duplicates of these outside, and then after that 7, you would have, because that 7 is going to represent the orbits of the planet or whatever. Then after that 7, it's going to put the zodiac out there. So you'll have the zodiac, 7 more rings, and then you have the Earth. And but once all that light shoots out of here, and all this light shoots out the top of here, all that water that traveled up to the edges or whatever, soon as that light, that last bit of light shoot out, due to the fact that there's so much of a lack of heat within the globe, all that water is gonna freeze up. So all this water is gonna shoot up here, all this water is gonna shoot up here, and then by the time that last bit of light go out, it's gonna freeze and create a dome over the Earth, or ice dome. And then at the bottom, the same way that the light was separated from the light water was separated from the dark water at the top by the water precipitating out of the melanin mud pool. The light water separates itself from the dark down here, but except for down here, instead of raising up, as the melanin was oozing down and coming out, it was sweating. Condensation. So this would be precipitation. This would be condensation. So you had like the water all on the outside of the bottom part from sweating. But remember what I told you, pt4 was digging holes and tunnels and all that. So what ended up happening was those holes and tunnels, the water condensing off of the ball of melanin down here was finding its way into them holes and them tunnels, and that's where you get your spring water and shit from, your well water and all that. You know, water, the water that comes from out of the ground. All that water is basically residual from that sweat that was sweating out the melanin, and then found its way into them pockets and them holes, whatever, which were later on going to be our well water system, you know, the spring water system or whatever. And just like the oil, like I say, the oil, oil comes from under the earth. That ain't nothing but melanin. You know what I'm saying? Probably the broad form of melanin in the earth. So you have your earth, you have your pockets of the underworld that still has the black goo in it in its original form, which is oil, carbon, 666, 6 carbon, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, or whatever. But just like this, the dome froze up here, the water down here froze too. So you had the frozen water within the eternal ring, and then you had this dome up here, which was going to be the moon. Now I was telling y'all in that other video when I was back in like 8th grade, I had I found out that lightning came from the friction from moving water. That's what caused lightning or whatever. So I came up with a rhyme. I was like, I strike like lightning when the friction from moving the droplets of water accumulate electrical charges. So when that last bit of light goes up here, and shout out to my man Howlin' Wolf. That's where you're gonna get your smokestack lightning from. All that light is gonna shoot up here. This is gonna turn into a stack of ice. And you know, ice has that smoke coming off of it or whatever. So that would be the smokestack. But as soon as that light goes up here, that interaction between the light penetrating through the clouds and coming up here is going to create a lightning bolt. Now, this is where you get your whole thing of Lucifer falling. When that lightning strike, it's gonna be a lightning bolt come from here, which is the middle, and then you're gonna have some coming from the sides, because these are the most concentrated points of light. It's the base. So just like this light shot and go up here, you got 7, 7, 7, 7, and all of them did the same thing these did. So when this went out, this went out, this went out, this went out at the base, you had a lightning bolt come from here, you had one come from here, you had one come from here, then you had one come from there, then you had one come from the back, or whatever. And the ones that came from here and here, they had an old school movie called Tremors, where they had these monsters or whatever attacking people, but the monsters dwelled in the ground. But that's where that shit come from. You know what I'm saying? One of the tremors was like worms, and one of the things that lightning is associated with is worms because of the way that it wiggles or whatever, or the zigzagness of it. So the lightning strike, boom, come down here, bow, open that back up, go all the way down here, open these up. When it opens these up, it's like a reverse process of shoe. Remember, at first shoe was the vacuum up here, but somehow it became down here. So it flipped, just like you got the whirlwind up here sucking everything up in the vacuum. When all that light came up here, the process reversed. When that lightning hit this, it struck all the way down here. Now the vacuum is pulling down. So this time, this is what, when all these meet up to there, that's the creation of the sun right there. That's what all 7 of these combined with the 8 create the sun. You'll read in a lot of mythology about God chopping his head off or whatever. Or like I said, I'm gonna go back. I know where to find this shit. I just gotta go and pull the books out. But there's one I was reading somewhere that was talking about the symbolism of the king cutting the diadem off of his crown or whatever, and it fell into the darkness. Well, really, that would be when it cut when the light shot up here, because this would be the darkness or whatever. But then it'd be the reverse process, what I'm talking about now, because once that lightning strike and that air begins to suck, it's gonna pull what we would call goodness gracious great balls of fire out on a nigga ass, and that's when you hear about the fall of Lucifer. Lucifer felt like the morning star. Or matter of fact, we give you one even better right now. Remember I told you when all that light retracts from the base, all this is gonna be dry land, desert-like land. That's called the great dragon of drought, Tiamat. But like I said, it's from a bird's eye view. When everything, all the light clear out, it's gonna look like a dragon with his mouth open, because it's gonna have all the little depressions, and then the mouth's raising up, so the mouth will be looking like teeth, and then you have like the center point and all these right here like valleys looking like holes or whatever. That's the great dragon of drought, because all the water is evaporated from the top and froze up here, and then all the water down, and then the rest of the water came down here with the melanin and froze down here. So with the top, it'll be drought. They say Horus slays the dragon of drought by piercing his head. Well, Horus, this is the heart tumor. Remember when I said when it was talking about Jesus wrecked that temple that they made into a money changing temple. Well, this when he say that is when the sun shoot out that star and come back down and bring the fire. First it penetrates through the opening and go through the ice. So and you already know once it does that, you know ice and water, the reaction the ice has to water. When it first come through there, that's gonna cause the rain. So you have the sun come through there, boom, great ball of fire, hit that ice, all that, it's gonna cause rain. That's what's gonna cause the flood. This is the ark that Noah, we're talking about Noah built the ark. This is the ark that he built. The flood is gonna be up here. And then the sun gonna fall and boom, that's how it pierces the head of the tire light, or pierces the head of the dragon of drought. And it kills the dragon of drought with water, but first it pierces the head. And then once it pierces the head, it goes through each one of these and come down. And when it comes down to each one of these, it's busting the shell off or opening the Sheol, going through the Sheol or whatever. And yeah, there's one thing about Christ. They say Christ knocked over some vases and dyed all the fabric. He's supposed to be in some type of little place where they make clothes or some shit. And they say he knocked over some vases, and he knocked over the vases, he dyed all the fabric different colors. Like I said, each one of these corresponds to a different color. Him knocking over, breaking the vases or whatever, and dyeing the colors is when the sun comes down here and slides through each one of these and shatter the shells or break the shells open. And each one of these shatters, just like a volcano, whatever substance is in each one is gonna shoot up and dye the top layer. So all your violet shit, all your indigo shit, all your blue shit, that's probably what dyed the skies or whatever, the blue, then the green shit for the grass or whatever, then you got the orange, and you got the red gonna bust out. And and that's also called the you read Ancient Egyptian word, you're gonna come to a point where it's gonna talk about the circumcision and the circumcision and the inner cut. What they call it, the circumcision and the subcision. The circumcision is when the light comes through. Like I said, this would be, if we was looking at it from a bird's eye view, this would be the top or right here. So when that light comes back through here, because like all that light, just like the sun come back through here, all the light that flashed out here is gonna send some back. And when it comes back through here, it's gonna come back through this point right here and go to the center, coming through that side, circumcising or cutting around right here, that base with the base of the moon, basically. And all this shit gonna be slanted. Remember, keep it in mind, because you're gonna know that when I tell you, when I go further, because you know the earth sits on the axis or whatever. So that would be the circumcision, all the light coming in from the circumference. This would be the subincision, cutting down the middle. Now, the birth of the sun, all that light gonna come through here and be birthed out of here. Now, remember I told you, when all that light came out of here, it threw 7 more orbits out here. They made copies of these 7 and threw them out here. So, if it throws out that 7, and then it throws out the zodiac, that means the center of all those will be right here. It will be right here. But if the sun is sitting in, from we've talked, the sun is sitting at the center of the solar system. So you have the sun, you have the 7 orbits, or the orbits of the planets, and then outside of the orbits you would have the zodiac, and then you would have Earth sitting on the 3rd orbit. So I was like, well, damn, if the sun come out right here, but this is the center of the orbits, I'm like, how the fuck the sun sitting in the middle with everything sitting around it, if this is the center from which everything came from? Then it reminded me of a game called hopscotch. Scotch is another word for black. Scotch, scorch. When you scorch something, you leave it black. They say, Shu raised up the firmament in 2 ways. On his shoulders, which would be the raising up of everything, the mountains and all that shit from the sides. And then they said one with his staff. The staff. So when the sun's